My parents didn't even pretend it was a celebration. They didn't hang balloons, didn't put up the banner I knew they kept in storage, didn't even smile when I walked into the banquet hall. The chandelier lights shimmered across crystal glasses and polished silverware, but the warmth in the room felt staged, borrowed, like laughter in a house that never learned how to echo love. 100 relatives sat at long tables draped in linen the color of champagne foam. The air smelled faintly of roasted garlic and expensive perfume. Conversations murmured in waves, quiet, rehearsed, curious. And every head turned toward me. Not with excitement. Not with affection. But with expectation. The kind that settles on a room before something heavy is about to drop. It was supposed to be my graduation dinner. My milestone. My moment. Instead it felt like a courtroom disguised with centerpieces. My mother stood near the head table, hands folded neatly at her waist. Her earrings glittered, diamond teardrops she only wore when she needed to perform perfection. My father stood beside her, posture rigid, fingers tapping against folded papers he hadn't shown anyone yet. My sister leaned against the wall, swirling her wine with a satisfied smirk. She knew something. He always did. My name is Elena Reyes. I'm 26 years old, and on the night my parents invited 100 relatives to celebrate me, they were really preparing to remove me from the family completely. If this resonates with you, share your thoughts. It means more than you know. When I approached the table, the room fell silent. So silent I could hear the soft clink of a fork someone dropped 2 tables away. My heels clicked against the marble floor in steady, measured beats. 1, 2, 3. Each step a countdown I didn't know I was walking toward. My mother's smile tightened, thin, rehearsed, brittle. Everyone, she said loudly, lifting her glass, thank you for joining us tonight. We wanted the whole family present for a very important announcement. Important. My stomach tightened at the word. In my childhood home, important never meant good. It meant breaking news, breaking rules, breaking somebody. My father cleared his throat and opened the folded papers. Elena, he began, your mother and I have spent a long time evaluating the choices you've made. The room shifted. Eyes sharpened. Whispers hushed. Evaluating? Like I was a project they were disappointed in? I swallowed hard. Dad, what is this? He held up a page with a number in red ink. A number so large my breath stilled. $248,000. My mother's voice sliced through the air. Every cent we wasted raising you. A gasp rippled through the tables. I froze. The room swayed slightly, blurring at the edges like a watercolor left in rain. My fingers tingled, cold spreading slowly up my wrists. My father pushed the paper toward me. You can repay this amount, he said, or you can accept that you are no longer part of this family. A murmur swept across the hall. Shock, judgment, confusion. My mother reached behind her, grabbed a framed photo of me at age 5, and ripped it out with a flourish too practiced to be spontaneous. That's the first one, she said. We'll remove the rest tonight. The ripping sound echoed in my ears. A tear sliding down wallpaper. A life being undone quietly. Someone at a distant table whispered, is this real? Another said, over a graduation? But none of them stood for me. None said stop. None walked out. Family dinners are performative theaters. Everyone wants to watch, no one wants to interfere. My sister stepped forward with a casual confidence that made my skin crawl. Oh, she said lightly, reaching toward my handbag on the table, and these are mine now. She dangled my car keys from 2 fingers, shaking them like a prize. My pulse thudded heavy in my chest. What are you doing? She laughed. Dad already transferred the title to me this morning. You won't need a car after tonight. Her words landed like cold stones in my stomach. Then she leaned close enough that her perfume, sweet, sugary, artificial, wrapped around me. You should have known, she whispered. There's only room for one daughter here. And it was never going to be you. Memory flickered. Me at age 9, crying after she twisted my wrist during an argument. My mother snatching her hand away from punishment and saying, she didn't mean it, Elena. Don't be dramatic. The memory dissolved back into the present, leaving its ache behind. My father wasn't done. He lifted his chin and nodded toward the entrance. Bring him in. The doors opened and my boss walked inside. Not with sympathy. Not with confusion. With purpose. My legs began to tremble. No, I whispered. Please don't. He avoided my eyes. I'm sorry, he said quietly but not apologetically. Your parents explained the situation. We can't keep you employed under these circumstances. The circumstances? My existence. He slid a letter onto the table. A termination notice. My mother smiled softly, triumphantly. You needed accountability, Elena. This is us giving it to you. 100 relatives watched. Some horrified. Some entertained. Some whispering so loudly the room buzzed. But no one stood. Not one person stood. I felt my throat tighten, a pressure like swallowed glass. My vision blurred around the chandelier light. My fingers dug into the edge of the table to keep myself upright. Dad folded his arms. You may leave, Elena. We've handled everything. Everything. My core. My job. My identity in this family. Nothing left to claim but my dignity. And even that they assumed I would abandon quietly. But I didn't give them the satisfaction of tears. Or arguments. Or explanations. I simply inhaled, slow, steady, and felt something shift deep in my chest. A quiet breaking. A quiet awakening. Without a word, I stepped back from the table. My chair legs scraped the floor. Sharp, final. My mother clicked her tongue. My sister smirked. My father waved me off. And I walked out. Past the tables. Past the relatives. Past the ballroom that smelled of garlic and betrayal. The corridor outside was silent. The world outside even quieter. And for the first time in years, their voices no longer followed me. They thought the story ended there. They were wrong. As 4 days later, my phone lit up with 50 missed calls. 4 days passed without a word from me. 4 days of silence so thick and intentional it felt like a wall being rebuilt brick by brick. Each hour another layer, each breath a refusal to let them back in. The quiet didn't feel lonely. It felt earned. My apartment, small, warm, sunlit, felt different without their voices in it. Lighter. Like someone had opened a window I didn't know was sealed shut. The morning light brushed over my sofa in pale gold. The scent of yesterday's coffee lingered faintly in the air. I sat at my kitchen table wrapped in a blanket, a lukewarm mug between my palms. I stared at my phone. 50 missed calls. From numbers I once answered instinctively. From people who once demanded my attention like payment. Now they rattled in a notification list that felt foreign. My stomach tightened, not with fear but with clarity. A buzzing on the table startled me. Call number 51. I turned the phone over so I wouldn't have to see the name. But the buzzing didn't stop. Not for minutes. It vibrated like someone knocking on a door they no longer had the right to insist upon. When it finally stopped, the silence settled again. Then another memory drifted in, soft, slow, threaded with childhood ache. I was 11, handing my mother a drawing of a little house I'd sketched. Crooked lines, purple roof, stick figures smiling. She'd taken one look and said, "It's messy. Do it again properly. You're too old to draw like a toddler." She tossed it aside where it slid under the chair like a scolded pet. That was the first time I learned silence could be safer than expression. Tonight, though, silence was not fear. It was choice. On the 5th day I finally checked the voicemails. The first was my mother's voice, sharp around the edges, forced into composure. "Elena, we need to talk. There's been a misunderstanding. Call me back." Second voicemail, my father. "Elena, it's urgent. You're making things difficult. Come home." I pressed the phone away from my ear and let out a shaky laugh. Difficult. The word tasted bitter. As if their cruelty needed my cooperation to complete itself. The third voicemail was from my sister, her voice shrill, frantic. "Dad's furious, Mom's crying, everything is a mess. Do you think you're punishing us? Grow up, Elena." I deleted that one before she finished. Another message pinged in. "Please. Call us. It's an emergency." Emergency. A word they'd never used for my pain. Only theirs. I didn't call back. Later that afternoon, as sunlight faded into a soft blue dusk, my lock screen lit up again. A text from an unknown number. "We need your signature. It's about the house." Then another. "The family is panicking. Please respond." Then, "You don't understand what you're doing." I set the phone aside and stepped onto my balcony. The evening air was cool, carrying the faint scent of rain and city dust. Cars hummed below in steady rhythm. A dog barked in a courtyard. Someone laughed 3 floors down. Real life continued, beautiful, indifferent, free. My chest loosened. A strange, gentle truth washed through me. I didn't belong to the chaos I'd walked away from. I never had. I'd just been groomed to believe I did. The next morning, while stirring oatmeal on the stove, my phone buzzed again, but this time it wasn't a relative. It was my boss. The same man who'd fired me in front of my family, not because of my performance but because they'd demanded it. His voice was quiet. Too quiet. "Elena, I owe you an apology. I should have never let them pressure me into that. I should have stood up for you." I didn't respond right away. The oatmeal bubbled softly. The kitchen smelled faintly of cinnamon and almond milk. He continued, "Your co-workers started a petition. HR reviewed everything. They want you back. I want you back. You're one of our best strategists." Pause. "And your family didn't tell the truth, Elena. Not even close." I closed my eyes. People often soften their guilt by rewriting the past. But this felt different, like a door opening in a room I thought would stay locked. I spoke quietly. "Thank you. I'll think about it." It was enough. I hung up and exhaled. The steam from the pot drifted upward in slow spirals, fading into the warmth of the room. 2 hours later. A knock at my door. Not frantic. Not soft. Just 3 deliberate taps. My breath caught. I wasn't scared. Just bracing for impact. I opened the door. And for the first time in my life, my father stood on my doorstep without anger tightening his jaw. His eyes looked sunken, tired, stripped of authority. My mother stood behind him, mascara smudged slightly, something she would have once rather died than let anyone see. My sister hovered further back, arms crossed, face pale. For a moment no one spoke. The hallway light hummed softly above us. My father cleared his throat. "Elena," he said, voice thick, "things have fallen apart since you left." I didn't move. Didn't invite them in. Didn't save them from the discomfort of speaking in the hallway where neighbors could hear. He continued, "Your grandmother found out what happened. She threatened to remove all of us from her will unless we apologized." He swallowed. "And your aunt refuses to speak to us after witnessing everything." My mother wiped beneath her eye. "We didn't realize how far we'd gone. We thought we were helping. Teaching responsibility. We were wrong." I stood there, letting the weight of their words settle. Teaching responsibility. That's what they called humiliation. My sister spoke last, voice shaking. "I didn't think you'd actually leave." Her hands twisted nervously. I looked at her, really looked. Her smirk was gone. Her confidence gone. Her power gone. She was just human. Flawed. Frightened. Finally held accountable. I leaned my shoulder against the doorframe. "I didn't leave," I said softly. "You pushed me out." My mother flinched like the sentence was a slap. My father's voice cracked. "Elena, we want to fix this." I studied their faces. The desperation, the regret, the unraveling of a system they once controlled. And for the first time I didn't feel small. I didn't feel scared. I didn't feel outnumbered. I felt free. "I don't know if this can be fixed," I said quietly. "But I'm willing to talk. Later. Not today." My mother nodded, slowly, painfully. "Of course," she whispered. "Whenever you're ready." I closed the door gently, not slamming, not dramatic, just firm enough to signal a boundary newly built, newly mine. Inside, the apartment felt full of oxygen. Full of possibility. Full of me. I sat at the table, warmed my hands on my mug, and let out a breath I'd been holding for 26 years. If you've lived anything like this, tell your story, and don't forget to subscribe. Outside, the morning light brightened, soft and patient, touching everything it could reach. And I understood something quiet and irreversible. Sometimes walking away is coming home to yourself.